Hi and welcome back to Love English. So today, a really simple lesson. 3 words that I want you to stop using. Why do I want you to stop using these words? Well, if you do, you're going to have to learn some new vocabulary. It will force you to expand and build on the current vocabulary you have. It is really easy and sometimes a bit lazy to stick to using these 3 words. And if you follow my simple suggestion, you should be able to build your vocabulary range up much faster. Now, before I tell you what the 3 words are, you need to click subscribe down below. You need to ring that notification bell to make sure you are one of the first to learn about our lessons, to make sure you are one of the first to get notifications of our lessons, meaning you're the first to see the lesson, to comment, and to get replies. So, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, notifications, let's go. Right, so the 3 words I want you to stop using, or at least avoid using as much. So, really, and very. Now, these are incredibly useful words to have in the English language. They put emphasis on words. They add something to the sentence, making it stronger. However, you guys get a little bit lazy, and it is not uncommon for me to read in some of the academic essays that my students produce. Very good, very bad, very tired. Okay, very boring, guys. Come on, you can think of better words than that. So what I'm asking you to do today is to avoid using those 3 words and try expanding your vocabulary by learning synonyms. Now, I'm going to go through some really common adjectives that I use, you use, we all use very regularly. Now, I'm going to go through some of the top adjectives that we use regularly when we speak, when we write, when we text, but I'm going to give you some alternatives, some more advanced words that you could use instead of very good, very bad, very interesting, very boring. So let's get started with very, really, so good. Instead of good, why don't you try using fantastic, incredible, amazing, outstanding. The concert was outstanding, not the concert was very good. My personal favorite, spectacular, spectacular. The album is spectacular. We had a spectacular party. This is a little bit more formal, which really means you have to think about the words that you use and check them. Don't simply go through a Word document and type synonym. Doing this is a bit difficult because very often the synonyms that we have will have slightly different meanings or be used in different situations. For example, formal, informal. So I will be explaining some of these subtle differences with the adjectives I'm giving you now. Now, likewise, bad. So bad, very bad, really bad, bad. It's a 3-letter word that you learn at elementary level, and really you can do better than that. My personal favorite, awful, awful. The music sounds awful. The dinner was awful. You've got terrible. It was terrible. Now, a little bit stronger, so that's what I mean by these subtleties of difference, is horrendous. Horrendous is really, really, really bad. Her outfit was horrendous. I mean, this is really strong, so avoid using it unless something is really bad, and be careful not to insult anyone with this word. A more sophisticated, advanced adjective might be atrocious. Atrocious. Her taste in clothes is atrocious. The essay was atrocious. So again, very insulting. Don't use it to somebody's face, and they are stronger. Terrible and awful would be a less strong equivalent. You've then got adjectives like tired and sleepy, and we've got loads of alternatives for these. The best one, of course, is exhausted. I was exhausted after the party. The children were exhausting. I was so tired. Remember, ing, the thing that makes you feel, but ed is how you feel. Weary is a lovely alternative to tired, not too strong, just saying, I'm feeling a little tired, I'm feeling a little weary. Don't forget, knackered is a great slang word, much more informal. You could use it with friends. You wouldn't use it in a business situation. I was knackered after the party. I was knackered after looking after the children. Be careful of the pronunciation. It's knackered, not naked. A phrasal verb that is also used as an adjective, worn out. The children wore me out. There's the phrasal verb. I was worn out. There's the adjective. And of course, one you might not have heard, shattered. I felt shattered at the end of the day. Another common adjective, angry. Really angry, so angry, very angry. How boring. Much better to say, I was furious. I was furious, very angry. But remember, with some of these extreme adjectives, you wouldn't use very or really because they are extreme adjectives. So furious, the equivalent of very angry, would be totally furious. So furious, but not very furious or really furious. Irritated, not so strong as furious, a little bit angry. You could also use annoyed. I was annoyed, again, not as strong as angry. Or even frustrated, okay? It was making me feel annoyed, a little bit angry. So the best alternative would probably be furious. Okay, this is a great word because there are so many different kind of rich adjectives to use instead of hungry. So rather than saying I'm so hungry, I'm starving. I'm ravenous. Ravenous. Very formal, nice advanced word for you. Peckish means a little hungry. I'm quite peckish at the moment. Or famished. Again, I'm really hungry. I'm famished. I'm feeling quite peckish at the moment. Okay, next, happy. Again, happy is like good, like bad, like tired, like hungry. It's boring. It doesn't really say very much, and it is such a common adjective. So instead of saying I'm happy, you could use elated. This means very, very happy, elated. I was elated when I got the job. A little bit more formal, but it really is a nice word to use instead of happy. Another equivalent would be glad. So in the same way that we would use happy, we could use glad. I was glad to hear her news. Again, more formal, a little bit more restraint. So you could use this maybe in business situations. I was glad to hear his news. That's a really good one. You could have ecstatic, overjoyed, over the moon. There's an idiom there for you. I was over the moon when you told me your news. So all of these are great replacements for happy. Excited is very similar to happy. Obviously, you've got lots of positive energy. And maybe you could use something like thrilled. I was excited, I was thrilled. It's also very similar to happy, so there's a lot of overlap with these two adjectives. Eager, that could mean, again, that you're happy about something and you really want to do something. That's a nice alternative. I was excited to start the job. I was eager to start the job. Works really well. And of course, there's enthusiastic. Enthusiastic. Be careful if you don't like that TH sound. Enthusiastic. He was really enthusiastic about the project. He was really enthusiastic about the project rather than saying he was really excited. Nice. Okay, this is one that I just randomly thought of, but very often you might want to describe something, hopefully not someone, as smelly. And I thought rather than smelly, we could use words like pongy. Pong, that's the verb. Pongy would be the adjective. So there was a pong in the air, or it was a bit pongy. The food was a bit pongy. Yeah, don't use it when you're talking about a person. Shouldn't really use smelly either. It's quite rude. But I thought these were quite nice adjectives to teach you. Whiffy, that's a bit more formal. So there was a bit of a whiff in the air, noun. Her shoes were a bit whiffy. Smelled a bit cheesy. Really strong is foul. We could say something is foul smelling. So the gone off cheese, there's a phrasal verb for you. The gone off cheese was foul smelling, when it just smells so badly, it's disgusting. So those are your alternatives for smelly. Scared is another adjective that has lots of synonyms that are equivalent. Again, some are extreme adjectives like terrified. You can't say so terrified, very terrified. You could say really or totally terrified, but because it is an extreme adjective, often you don't need to add the emphasis and it sounds strange when you try to. So scared, terrified, petrified, or horrified. Horrified. So again, ed is how you feel, ing is the thing that makes you feel. Horrifying, terrifying, petrifying. Okay, another word that we would often use to describe women is beautiful. Beautiful. Remember, beautiful is for women, handsome is for men, good looking is for all of us. But beautiful is a common adjective and you might want to think of some alternatives. So, for women, stunning, gorgeous, gorgeous, attractive, good looking, I've already told you, and of course handsome for men. So stunning and gorgeous are really good adjectives to use instead of beautiful. Again, we can use them for people and we can use them for things. The flowers are stunning. That picture is stunning. It's gorgeous. So better than using just plain beautiful, right? So we've got also bossy. All right. How many people do you want to say are bossy? Always telling you what to do, how to do it. Very annoying. You could use domineering. Domineering. So this is where somebody's personality is so strong, they try to be stronger than other people. Not always a very good characteristic. Overbearing. Overbearing, again, the same meaning as bossy. And of course, dictatorial. Dictatorial, coming from dictator, which is kind of self-explanatory, I think. Dangerous, rather than very dangerous, so dangerous, really dangerous, you could say hazardous, treacherous, that's a nice one, treacherous, or perilous, perilous. The sport is very hazardous. Walking across the mountain was hazardous. You'll see these words as well in different situations. A hazard, again, we've got the noun form rather than a danger. Danger is the standard adjective. We've got those other adjectives we could use instead. Hazardous, treacherous, perilous. Now, thankfully, this is not one of my students' favorite adjectives. Bored. Bored and boring. I'm bored, it's boring. Don't use boring. Use your imagination and think of another adjective. Dull. Uninteresting, which when we put the prefix before interesting, obviously makes it negative, but it's also less rude. Rather than saying the presentation was boring, you could say, it was a little uninteresting. So this is a nice diplomatic way to say something is boring. Or you could say irked. I was a bit irked. It was irksome. Again, more formal actually, so you wouldn't necessarily use this in everyday English, maybe in business English or academic English, but again, bored is such a boring word. Try one of those alternatives. Similarly, and of course, lastly, we've got interesting. So the film was interesting. Again, not the most imaginative adjective to use. Why not try an extreme adjective? Fascinating. Fascinating. I was fascinated. It was fascinating. Intrigued. Intriguing. The film was intriguing. Curious. Curious. Usually used to describe cats because they're always interested in everything. He's got a very curious mind. Not a very interested mind, but a very curious mind. Engrossed. I was engrossed in the film. Remember that these adjectives do have slightly different. So when you are engrossed in something, you are so absorbed in it. You just are really interested that you can't focus on anything else. Engrossed. Or another alternative, a final alternative, captivated, captivating. The film was captivating. It was so interesting, but it also has a slightly more romantic, artistic feel to this word. So captivating. I hope this lesson was captivating, and I hope it's going to encourage you to realize how rich the English language is, that there are so many alternatives to those boring, dull adjectives that we use every day. They are super easy to use, but you have to practice. So comment in the box below and just write some sentences. Was this lesson dull or was it captivating? Are you feeling peckish or are you starving? Remember the subtle differences in some of these adjectives and the different situations you can use them in. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have already subscribed, clicked that little bell, and I'll be seeing you soon for our next fascinating lesson.